Hey Hornets, how are we? Welcome along to WD18, the Watford fan channel on this Sunday night with myself, Jacob Culshaw, Charlie Zazzera, Charlie Squared back once again. Charlie Zazzera, first off, how are you, sir? You okay?
I'm all right. I'm a bit poorly. I've got my strepsils on the go, got some Lemsip, so I'm hoping chatting with you two fine men's gonna make me feel a bit better.
There's something flying around at the minute, isn't there? And the man joining us today, obviously I've given it away that it's another Charlie, but Mr. Bush making we worked out, Charlie, that it was an 18-hour round trip.
We did. I am knackered. I'm knackered.
He's only just got through the door in time. That's why we're a bit late.
No, I got home about 9:30 last night. Got up for work at 7, so I'm knackered. And I think me and Charlie got the same bug. I'm coughing away. I've had my ibuprofen earlier, so we're going to be coughing and sniffing together for the next hour.
Charlie, just talk us through yesterday. What was the day from start to finish? Yeah, go for it.
Well, a very early start. 3:30, arrived at the Vic. No, sorry, 3:30, jumped in the shower, arrived at the Vic. And only the one coach. But yeah, we went up, had a little away day sleep. Got there about 10:30. Wasn't too bad. 2 hours before kickoff. Had a little walk around the club shop and all that sort of stuff. First off, we'll get onto it in a minute. I was well happy with the length that I travelled. I was proud of the performance. We're going to go talk about it in a minute, but it wasn't one of those performances where I was like, I wish I didn't get up at 4 a.m. this morning, but I was proud.
Did you get a free? Did the club put on like £10 voucher or something for everyone who travelled?
Yeah. I got a £10 voucher, food and drink, no alcohol.
What did you spend it on?
I got a hot dog and a water. Proper.
Wow.
Proper premium, that is.
Surely that's not your £10 voucher though.
It's not. But then if I bought anything else, then it would have gone over the tenner. So
I saw someone hack the system because I think they got a sausage roll at Pepsi and a dairy milk bar.
Tell you what, I was one of the boys. They got a double voucher. He went over. He went, "Can I have another one, please?" Little voucher, £20. So lucky boy.
Do you know what? That was a really nice touch from the club, especially on the way there. Obviously, I wasn't there yesterday, but I saw it come through on socials, and I think it was 400 odds. Watford fans who made the trip up to Sunderland for a 12:30 kickoff, which is incredible, really. Like I think Sky, there needs to be a conversation about that as well because Watford fans making that trip up there.
There's a lot of Sky Sports chanting going on here.
I was there in the away. Yeah, well, that was one of the questions, Charlie, from Charlotte. What was the atmosphere like in the away end yesterday?
As it always is, first 10 minutes until we conceded, it was good as it usually is, and then that early-ish goal goes in. We went a bit dull, but I feel like the performance didn't make us go as dull as we have in previous games. It wasn't silent, wasn't full, obviously, but it was still a decent atmosphere. And then obviously TDB with that penalty, we're all up for it at half time, going in for our free food, and it showed in the second half as well. I think there were some people when loser scored the goal were still getting their free food, so it wasn't actually that bad of an away day. And we'll go and talk on the main talking points in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get straight into it. As always, this is brought to you in partnership with Hertfordshire Mind. 2 goals means £2 into our Hertfordshire Mind campaign. Thanks to yesterday's goals. So January was £8, wasn't it, Charlie? So we're almost at £700 for this season, and we're over halfway. Obviously, I think it's 30 games we played so far, 31 games or so. So still a decent portion of the season left. So if you want to join us on that initiative, if you want to do it at the end of the month, then the link is in the description below. Charlie Zazzera, we didn't even talk about where you were yesterday. So you've watched the game on catch up. I watched the game live from home. Charlie Bush was there. Charlie Zazzera wasn't there, but he's caught up on it. Where were you? Were you watching Marshall Goddo?
Yeah, I was promised Marshall Goddo on a Monday, so I went to the DW to watch Fulham versus Wigan, which was interesting. Like when Charlie was saying about the Watford away fans, it kind of makes me appreciate how good I think we are as an away fan, which is because like obviously Fulham, they're in the Premier League, but their away end was pretty crap to be honest. But good little game, good second half when Wigan scored and all the little ticks were giving it and the DJ was on. So yeah, but watching that Marshall Goddo who started obviously was at the training ground all of Monday hoping to sign, but didn't have his best game. He missed a 1-on-1, so that made me slightly relieved. Obviously, you can't judge a player by one game, but I was expecting him to score. But yeah, he was lively, but didn't impress too much.
he was one of the topics of conversation in the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast with Scott Duxbury and Tom Cleverley, which the guys talked about. So we'll get into that later on in the pod. We'll do the game first. We'll talk through that from start to finish, the draw. We'll touch on that interview from the guys that Do Not Scratch Your Eyes, and then look ahead to Leeds on Tuesday night back at Vicarage Road. Let's take it right back from the start, Charlie Bush, and let's look at that lineup. When it came out in Sunderland, if we run through it here, Eagle Selvik making his full Watford debut, Ryan Andrews, James Abankwah, Matty Pollock, with Yasser Larouci making up the back four. Imran Loser and Tom Dele-Bashiru are 2 goal scorers yesterday as the midfield 2, with Sissoko on the right again, Edo Kiembe in the 10 with Chapfadati on the left-hand side, and Mamadou Doumbia making his full debut, obviously with Bayo out as well with a 3-game ban. Charlie, what was the reaction like in Sunderland when the teams came out? What for fans saying when you saw it?
I think we were happy to see Selvik in goal, obviously with his debut, and I think he lived up to expectations. His distribution was a little bit, I don't know, wayward, to be fair. It was sometimes a bit 50-50. Sometimes it was very pinpoint and sometimes it was very hopeless. But as we know at the end, he made two or three very crucial saves. Massive part of that game. Gained us the point, you could really say, towards the end. Obviously, the back 4 instead of the back 5, I thought, again, Pollock's up to the standard that he's usually at. Abankwah, nice pace, strong centre-half. I think I do like him at the centre-half. And then, onto that front 3. Sorry, the 3 behind Doumbia. So, Musa likes that little wide role a little bit now, doesn't he, going forwards? And then Doumbia, wow, I think he really impressed us. He was good at holding the ball up. It was strong. It was quick. And for that penalty that he won, he was, as I said, quick. He was so quick to get to that ball. And, won us the penalty, which got us back into the game.
Jacob, just on that, if you scroll up and go to lineups, and there should be an age filter.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just quite interesting there if you look at the age of our squad, especially our defenders. Ryan, 20, James, 21, Matty, 23.
Moose the only 30-year-old.
Moose is really dragging the average age up there, isn't he? And obviously Doumbia leading the line at 18. I was actually surprised to see Loser and Tom Dele same age at 25. But Sunderland are quite well known for having quite a young team as well. But I thought it was a really good performance considering the age of our players.
I think Charlie Bush.
That 17-year-old Chris Rigg makes you feel a bit bad about yourself, doesn't it? 17 years of age.
You're already 18, Charlie. Come on, mate.
I know. I'm slacking. I should be on the pitch. No, he's.
You're making Charlie
really
feel really bad now. Do you know what's really interesting about that game yesterday for me, Charlie Zazzera, is the fact that when you think about how Watford played, and before we get into sort of the minute details and the goals and how the game panned out, we went from thinking we'd go on to win it, then going, okay, a draw. And then by the end, you're thinking, thank God we've got a draw. And it changed really, really quickly in the second half. And I think when we talk about the momentum bar, which is such a key part of our channel, it really does. I mean, I don't know how accurate that is in the first half, if I'm honest. I thought Watford had a bit more control than it says here. But in the second half, that sort of Sunderland onslaught, you felt it coming, but they haven't lost in the league at the stadium alike. So it was to be expected. But did it coincide with a couple of substitutions, Charlie? Because we moved to a 5-4-1 from that 4-2-3-1 that we mentioned. And I'm kind of skipping straight to it. But there was certainly for me a difference when we went to that back 5, brought Sierralta on, and we lost a little bit in midfield. Now, I don't blame Cleverley necessarily, because you look at the options off the bench and we've got Ngaki in, Sierralta, Bonds, Morris, Caben, Ramirez of Spain, Adu Poko, Nebizada. I mean, in terms of options, we're not blessed in terms of ready-made options. The only ones really that are ready-made are the ones that came on in terms of Ince, Ngaki, Sierralta, and you probably say Morris, probably a batsman of 5 for Caben, the fact he hasn't played a lot of football. So did you notice a difference when we did change the system at that point?
Yeah, I think that was clear to see. But like you said, I don't think it's something that you can blame Cleverley for. I think he's probably in a lose-lose situation. If you keep our fullest 11, who are probably blowing at that point, some of them coming back from injury, you're going to be struggling anyway. So I do think it can be a mentality thing, especially when you bring on an extra defender. And I do think for their second goal, although I think it was Tom Dele-Bashiru's fault really for losing his man, I don't think Sierralta kind of does much. He kind of goes towards the ball. So Look, it's one of those things, but I think if you look at the whole game and the whole performance in the context of the situation with the players we've got, all the players that we've got out, I think it's a really, really good point. And like you said, Jacob, they haven't lost at the Stadium of Light yet, and they're one of the best teams. They beat Middlesbrough 3-2 earlier on in the week. So to go up there and put in the performance we did, and to have the control, if you go just left of that, it shows a possession. To have 50% possession against this Sunderland team, I think is really, really impressive against the backdrop. It's probably down there, yeah. 50%. So I think that's something that Tom should be really proud of. And I think he said as much in his interview.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you look at the expected goals there as well for Watford. Take it right back to the start, Charlie Bush. We looked at that first 15 minutes and I felt that Watford did well, actually, because I think one of my biggest things, and maybe it was the fact it was an early kickoff, because sometimes it can be a little bit flat in those games, especially at the start. If it's under the lights in a midweek or a late kickoff on a Saturday, the Stadium of Light's one of those stadiums where I feel like momentum can build quite quickly and maybe from the off. It almost felt like it just settled everyone down a little bit. The Watford got a foot on the ball. They played a few passes about. And I wouldn't go as far to say that when the Sunderland goal came against the run of play, but it did feel a little bit out of nowhere. And just talk us through what your perspective on it, because it was such a soft goal to concede, and the fact that we conceded 2 goals from set pieces.
Yeah, no, all the boys that I was sat with were all very, very surprised with the way that we started that game. Obviously, with the way we started games previously so far this season. I can't remember what Sunderland fans I was speaking to. It might have been in a couple of conversations online, but I heard about them saying they've started games slowly this season. Maybe that played a factor. I'm not too sure, but we definitely gave it a much better go than we have in previous games. And it wasn't like it was a sloppy counter-attacking, giving the ball away. I think Ryan might be not unhappy with himself, but I reckon he'll be a lot prouder of his second half performance than he was in the first half. I think he gave away the corner, and then maybe you could probably say misjudged the header. I think Luke O'Nien was pretty much on the goal line by the time he headed it in. I'm not even sure if he did get a touch on it. I'm pretty sure he did get a touch on it, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's why the XG is so high, because that was like 0.85 or something, man.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. But yeah, I think I wouldn't say it was sloppy. I'd just say it was a bit of a loss of focus. But again, we didn't drop our heads. We went straight back at it again, won the penalty, and went into half-time level, which we definitely deserved to be.
Charlie Zazzera, did you have screen grabs on this? Because I feel like this is one that you could pick apart all day. I mean, the ball comes into the back post. Ryan will be disappointed with himself, I think. He gets caught ball watching. But then when the ball comes back over, is that Laroussi's man? I was kind of working out if that's a Banquo's man.
I'm not sure, because Ryan's the right back, isn't he? And he was on the far post, and the corner was obviously over that side. So I'm not sure whose man.
It was a Banquo's man in the middle. It's exactly the same as the second goal, where just the second phase of play, we've just switched off and we're looking at the ball instead of staying to our men. And that's why I wanted to kind of highlight the ages. I thought Banquo played well again yesterday with Matty, and I'm getting a bit more confidence with us playing in the back four. But those guys are going to make mistakes because they're still so young. But yeah, I think Ryan wished he could have got a bit tighter so he didn't misjudge that ball for the first contact. And the Banquo, if he switched on, Luke O'Nien would have been free at the back post.
What, just on that back line, you thought a Banquo had a good game? Because I've seen he split opinion yesterday. Because I like the look of him, right? And I think one thing you always think is he hasn't played a lot of first team football, really. Even last season at Charlton, it was like 3 games, League One, Udinese. He's been in around the squad. Actually, Gianluca Nani saying how that transfer came about. I don't know if you guys saw that. But in the interview with Andrew French, Nani basically said that they went to Udinese training, rocked up, saw this lad in training and was like, is he playing? No, for Udinese. Let's get him over to Watford. So kind of made
one.
Yeah, it kind of made me think like how that's a little bit, it sounds a bit amateurish to be honest, but yeah, Banquo yesterday, that's an interesting one because I thought Matty was solid. I thought Banquo looked leggy by the end though. There was a couple of, especially that 1-on-1 at the end. I mean, it looked like he was really starting to, his legs were starting to go.
I thought he had a tough game, and Isidore's been, I think, really, really good striker this season, and he was up against him, and I just thought he stuck to his task as well as he could. You can see with that back four, they've got to be a lot more mobile. If it was Francesco Sierralza playing in that, I think he would have struggled, but he was covering a lot of space. He was physical, got in some good duels with him. And yeah, I don't think he was perfect by any chance, but I think we've got a player there. I've been impressed with him. And again, just remember he's 21, and we've got him and Matty Pollock as our back line, 21, 23, playing in the Championship. I think they've got a big future, and hopefully if we can keep those two as a centre-back pairing for the next 2 or 3 seasons, I think it would be in a good state. But yeah, they are still young and they're still going to make mistakes. But for me, a Banquo was solid. Bush, do you agree?
I was going to cut in anyway. I was going to say on a Banquo, yeah, I feel like he's a player that can. He's good to have in the squad because he can play as in both a 2 at the back, as in 2 centre halves and 3 centre halves, as in versatile. He can also play right back. We've seen as well. So he's a good player in the squad, and I think as you said, he's young. He'll develop. Matt, he's a good player to have alongside him as well. I think anyone would be lucky to play alongside Matt Pollock with his mentality. But yeah, I think it's a good little start that we've got to this little rebuild that we've got going on.
I have to say though, lads, he was lucky not to give away a penalty. I have to say, I thought no, not James Abankwah, second half.
Oh yeah,
his hands were all over Isidore, and I think if Isidore had gone down earlier, I think that would have got given. I mean, it was a penalty for me, to be honest. But Isidore was almost a bit honest, weirdly. I think he probably thought he could get a shot off and get a shot on target. Skied it, if I remember correctly. But
I mean, that's a tricky thing with players nowadays. We always see like pundits and stuff complaining about players going down, but if you don't go down, that's what happens. You just get told to play on. So it's a bit of a tough one, but I respect it. Didn't give the penalty, so I was not complaining.
That was second half. We take it back to the first half, Charlie Bush, and we'll talk on Watford's first. But that period of play, what I was impressed with was the reaction from Watford because, I think it's very easy to go away from home at Sunderland and heads can drop and you can lose what, sort of we were betting ourselves into the game. And then when that goal comes out of nowhere, I think it's quite easy just to sort of hide. But I didn't think Watford did that. And I think Sunderland gave us a lot of territory, if I'm honest. I felt that whether that was the game plan from Regis Labris, but it felt like they were quite happy for us to have the ball. And it played to Watford's hands a little bit because away from home we have been poor and interesting tactics from his point of view. But Watford's equaliser was a really well worked move. Ball out to the left to Larouci. Good run from Doumbia, got in between the 2 centre backs, forced a good save from Patterson. It hit the target. But that reaction, Charlie, was so pleasing to the way that Doumbia didn't stop his run, kept running, won the penalty, and
yeah.
And we're back.
I just mentioned on that, you said that about Larouci running down the wing. He is, if there's a word to describe Larouci, for me it's bipolar. He is, that ball into the box, it actually got me off my feet. There was a couple sitting down away from the Sunderland fans. We were up in the clouds. It was like, I was sat down in my seat and I got off my feet because of a Larouci cross. It was, and then about 5 minutes later, he put one across the floor. But I was really, really impressed with that cross. And yeah, it caused problems. It doesn't exactly, even when there's no one in the box, it causes a problem whether the goalie comes out, whether a defender goes to head it clear for another corner. And then you've got players like Doumbia running off the back of it. You could make an argument, would Bayo, or if we still have Rajovic, would they have been alert enough to make that run? Who knows? But we're impressed with Doumbia, and I think it was quick thinking there. And I was actually really impressed with his debut.
No, I totally agree. I thought Larouci's crossing was better than it normally is, actually, and it was a great ball to Doumbia.
Was it Dumbia's first start in the league?
Yeah, full debut for Watford.
Yeah, I thought
I have to say on Doumbia, Charlie Zazzera, I thought he set the tone from about 30 minutes onwards for that Watford performance. He was almost had that rawness where some players just use it to get stuck in, leaving it on a few players. And we talk about his all-round play, but the bit that I thought he did really well yesterday was winning us fouls in key areas. When we're up against the Kosh a little bit and there's a bit of maybe Sunderland momentum, he won us a foul, got us up the pitch and just eased a bit of pressure on us. What was it about his performance yesterday, which has obviously deserved a lot of plaudits from Watford fans?
Yeah, for me, just the energy. And I think it's such a difference to Bayo, just in terms of application and not making it easy for centre-halves and always on the move, running channels. And I thought he was outstanding. Again, remember, he's an 18-year-old lad from Mali. We've all seen the interview he's doing. He's learning English, bless him. Seems like a really good character. But yeah, I just thought his energy. And do you know what? I think he looks really, really tidy on the ball. I don't think we've seen him in goal-scoring positions yet. We haven't seen him with a one-on-one. So it's going to be interesting to see how good his finishing is. And ultimately, that's going to be key to whether he's going to be a success at Watford or not. But I really liked his movement, even for that Larouci. I should have got a screen grab, but he just kind of, the way he's not on the penalty spot, he's anticipating, looking, and he arrives to the ball and he makes good contact and his momentum takes him in, and that's why he kind of carries his run on to win the penalty. But even in the tiny cameos he's come on, when I've just thought he's been like quite tidy in the ball, put himself about, and I've said for a couple of weeks, just start him over Bayo. And even though he's 18, and I think in an ideal world we'd have an experienced striker and bringing him on so he can learn, but for me, I think he's done enough to keep hold of the shirt. Really, really promising, and hopefully he could be another one of those wonder kids who we've got in, and he develops for us.
There was a couple
Can I jump in on Dumbia quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm not one to like talk down on players, but if we're going to compare him to Jefferson, they're of the same caliber, aren't they? As in height wise, slim wise. I feel like compared to Jefferson, Dumbia controls his limbs, let's just say, a lot more comfortably. I feel a lot more comfortable on the ball. Sorry, I don't feel a lot more comfortable on the ball. I feel a lot more comfortable watching him on the ball. I just feel like he's more like in control of what he's doing. He's good at getting his body in the way, and he uses his height and is it stature?
Yeah.
Uses his stature to his advantage, and I think that's what we were sort of hoping for from Jefferson.
Do you know what? It's a really interesting point, mate, because I listened to Cleverley's post-match with BBC Three Counties, and he said he's done a lot of work with Alberto Garrido on his personal individual program. And a couple of things that he mentioned was, firstly, they're letting Dumbia grow into his body, which, I mean, he's 18 years old. And as you say, with his build, he's a tall lad. And the one thing you want at that age is obviously not for someone to get injured, especially when it seems like he's still growing. But also number two is just sort of building, because he is raw. I think that's almost like the nice bit I like about Dumbia is the fact that he's got such the right attitude. You can tell it immediately when you talk about on the pitch, but also off it. Charlie, you mentioned it there about his post-match interview with the club. That's he's learning the language. 18 years old. That takes, as Troy Deeney said, a lot of cojones to do that. And credit to the club as well for the sort of line of questioning, just slowing it down and making it a bit easier for him. And I think that's such an impressive skill. And we take that for granted, I think, especially when players who come over to England and do interviews and stuff. So I really love his attitude. And it begs the question, Charlie Zazzera, about why hasn't he been used earlier? Do you think it's just making sure that we don't jump the gun on him?
I think so. I think there's a development plan in place, and we've got Bayo and we've had Jefferson on loan, and they're supposed to be the two strikers competing for that spot. He's played some minutes for the under-21s. Maybe we should mention that trialist. But I just think the development, do you know what I mean? Get minutes playing for the 21s, be in the first team environment. And I think he's going to be, well, we haven't got another choice. We spoke about the transfer window probably in the last video, but now I think he's going to be getting plenty of minutes. I think we've got Leeds at home. I would be shocked if he gets dropped for that one. And then we'll see how he gets on. I think we can't bank on him getting 5 to 10 goals or anything like that, but just getting these first team minutes in the Championship at his age is going to be massive. And we talked about development and physique. We all remember what João Pedro was like when he turned up compared to, what was it, a season or a season and a half, and he just rocked up one pre-season physically like a man, and he turned into our best player. So hopefully we see a similar kind of similar explosion from Mama. Absolutely,
mate. Let's have a look at the comments. This is an interesting one. I'll throw it over to you, Mr. Bush. If Dumbia plays like that in the next two, Clevs has a selection headache for who starts for Luton, or does he have a headache?
I'm not sure. It's a difficult one, because you could also make the argument that Bayo would then have a point to prove, as in he's coming back. He obviously reads the media. He'll know what the fans think of him, and he'll obviously see what the fans are now thinking of Dumbia. So he'll be wanting to come in, especially in a massive game like Luton. That game's all about headspace, and if he's in the right headspace, wanting to come in and show everyone what he's about, Bayo will be the right man for it. But if Dumbia again has a blinder in the next two, he'll be in the right headspace as well. So he will be in a bit of a headache selection, but I would not want to be Tom Cleverley. It's
a really interesting debate, that one, because I'm a little bit concerned. If I'm looking really far ahead, which I don't think you should do, but I'm going to do it anyway. When we talk about the striker selection, I think back to Luton away with the goalkeeper, and Bond played the last four and cleverly changed it and brought Batman in, and he wasn't fully fit. Mate, I wonder if he'll do the same again for that game. If Dumbia does play the next two and does well and obviously stays fit, whether he would bring Bayo back in. But it's an interesting one with Bayo, Charlie, because I have to say, when I first saw that goal, and by the way, we didn't even touch on it, it's a cool penalty from Tom Deli-Bashiru, slotted it away. Lovely. and we needed that at that point of the game before half time. But I think about the reaction from Doumbia when the save was made, and I'm 99% sure Bayer would have been on his heels. I don't think Bayer would have done that. It was almost that again. I use that word rawness. That sort of reaction to go, I'm going to win that penalty. I'm going to make up for me missing the header. When I say miss the header, that's harsh, but he didn't score. So is it too easy just to go, Bayer wouldn't have done that, even though he's our top goal scorer?
Yeah, I know he's our top goal scorer, but he's also still underperforming his XG. He's had the highest XG in the whole league. So that tells a story. And for me, I feel like I've watched quite a lot of games where we put good balls in and Bayer's just kind of on his heels. I don't think his movement's great, his anticipation. Sometimes he'll just score a worldie out of nothing. But like that one against, I'm still raging about that one against Norwich. That ball across the box, he's just got to head it down. So Bayern's had a lot of chances, and I know it's a big deal for Doumbia to be starting, but we've got 2 games before then, so anything can happen. Let's hope we just can. We'll touch on it in the end, I'm sure, but we've got a really, really tough task on Tuesday. So I'm interested to see what Tom does for that. I think he's going to stick with Doumbia because I'm glad he went with Doumbia instead of, say, putting Kayembe as a false 9, or do you know what I mean? That would have been a bit more of a safer bet, maybe with the experience. But to throw him in, I thought was brave, and he got the rewards.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic performance from Doumbia. Before we touch on the second half, if you could leave a like on the stream if you're watching live, comment down below your thoughts, subscribe to WDAT, make sure to follow Charlie Bush, TikTok superstar. In there,
you're taking over, mate. Don't come on.
All about Charlie Bush. But if you don't watch Charlie Bush's series doing the 92 this season, so I mean it's in the name, right, Charlie? It's basically ticking everyone off. How many now?
Yeah, I'm on after Borough. It will be 60. What's it? Dave Messenger at the club. He's having we're having a little competition. He's on obviously he's a lot older than me. I think he's on 80 something. And every time I coach his son, every time I go to coach him in the morning, he goes, "You better not have been to any more stadiums since I've last seen you." But yeah, I think he's still got more than he's done with Watford.
Do you reckon you'll tick it off for the end of the season?
No. Oh, I don't know what week we now. Mid-Feb. We're approaching mid-Feb, and we've got end of May. Oh, I don't know. I haven't got any more flights booked.
You got any more flights booked?
I do. Little cheeky Ryan might be sorting me out. He's playing Switzerland in March. In Marbella in March, and hopefully I'll be going to watch him. Hopefully, if he can sort me out.
What a man, Ryan Andrews. What a legend.
What a man.
Okay, we'll touch on the second half. Thanks so much to everyone who's watching live. Charlie Zazzera. Let's touch on the second half because Watford started as brilliantly as you could do away from home, and Imran loser. And I wanted to dedicate a section to him because he was absolutely outstanding. I thought he was the best player on the park, the way he dictated play. His quality is just shining through at the minute. And I feel like he's been a bit of a slow burner at Watford, where I always think back in the Premier League when we saw him against Man United in the 6th, again, best player on the pitch. And he then went, he had a bit of a drop. Probably the environment playing a massive factor. Went out on loan to Lorient for 6 months. I thought we wouldn't see him again. And now there is an argument to say alongside Pollock, there probably is an argument. He is probably the most important player in our team because the dynamic of it is completely different without him. So what was it about his performance yesterday, aside from an absolutely beautiful goal that caught your eye?
Yeah, we'll look at the goal in a bit. Like you said, I thought that was the best game he's had this season. Having him and Tom Delly in there who can literally put their foot on the ball, control it, find the man. But before we look at the goal, when we put a stat out about what he did in the game, which he had the most touches, even his defensive numbers, what impressed me. But this is what kind of impressed me the most, really, is how our build-up changed. And where you can see Loser here dropping in as kind of the deepest man, really, getting on the ball and helping us build. You can see we're basically as a free, and it really changes kind of the dynamic in the passing lanes, which we got. You can see Abankwah and Pollock splitting, and it's still really nice to see our principles coming through, which I was worried about when we're changing our shape, we'd lose our principles, but you're still seeing Ryan get really high, and that was demonstrated in the first half when he had a shot that was kind of deflected and went just wide from a Larousse cross. So our fullbacks are still getting really high. But the fact that we can get Loser in the ball this position, I think just gives us a really nice way that we can build up, which we struggled with a free. Because our defenders weren't as good as passing, but now we've got different passing lanes. So we've got this one through to Tom Delhi. And I think more importantly, we've got this one to the main man, Georgie Chapfadazzi, who we should talk about. And we've also got Larousse down here and Ryan down here. So I thought it was his kind of defensive numbers that impressed me the most. His build-up was great. And you can even see here, I don't know if he lost the ball by giving it away, but he's intercepting as well, and he's doing the hard yards. And yeah, when we talk about the goal, minimal backlift. Look how high it is. It's like practically over the goal there. So it's a stunning finish. And I was looking at stats. I was like, we haven't seen. I feel like he's such a good shooter. He's so good at shooting. We haven't really seen that this season. So I think that's something that I want to see a bit more from him, because we've seen some stunning goals from him. I remember Blackpool away. Was it last season? Yeah, that free kick. He scored a couple against Norwich. He's got a wand of a left foot. So if we can get a couple more goals out of him, at this level, when he's on it, he can be an exceptional player for us.
Charlie, do you mind going back to that first screenshot? I was mentioning this exact thing to the boys I was with at the game, of his positioning, like you mentioned. He literally plays as like that third centre half. And we were having this conversation at half time. Is that where we expected Sissoko to play? Is that the role that he normally plays, like a defensive midfielder? Obviously not at the age of him being now, where he might have lost his legs, but that's sort of where I personally thought he was going to play, just in front of the defence. And I thought Loser, he's filled in and he's done it well. Whether it's Clev's telling him to do that, or whether he's doing that just naturally himself, he feels like he needs to drop in. I'm not sure. But like you said about him shooting more, would we be, well, if we spent money in the January transfer window, would it have been getting a defensive midfielder in and letting Loser play higher up the pitch so he can take more of those shots?
Yeah, it's interesting actually. I had the exact same thought when I was thinking, do we want him in a high position? And I still think we're missing the profile of a complete destroyer and a tackler in the middle. I do think Tom Delhi and Loser are quite similar. But I just think Loser has, when he's on it, he has got the ability to proper dictate play. And I thought Kayembe did pretty well yesterday, but that could be a good option. I do think that profile's missing. And if we did have a really good tackler in there, getting Loser a bit higher up so that he can help us going forward would be great. But I think he's got such good touch, such good passing range. He can dictate play. And the stat that I was impressed with the most was him having the most touches in the game. That's what he should be doing every game, controlling it, trying to get 100 touches, dictating it. But again, if you look down those stats, it's defensive actions, recoveries, interceptions. It was a complete midfielder's performance. So fair play, Imran.
Just like Ben just, sorry, Jacob, just like Ben just said just then about TDB, that's the sort of role, again, I'd expect TDB to be playing in. That's one of his main attributes, is picking the ball up from our two centre-halves or three centre-halves, whatever formation we're playing, and bringing it forwards. I feel like now TDB's back fully fit, should we say? He sort of does what Georgie does, but I think he does it deeper. As in, Georgie would do it from midfield to attack. TDB, I feel like he's so good at bringing it from defence to midfield. And I think if we had, not that I'm any sort of tactician or manager like Charlie Zazzera is, but if we had TDB playing the role that Loser is now, him bringing the ball up to players like Loser, players like Kayembe when he's on form, then pinging it to Chapfadazzi, we've got a serious squad. We've got a good spine, should we say? Spine with players going in and out. Again, it depends on what formation that we try and play. But I reckon if we play a free midfield with TDB sat just in front where Loser likes to play, and then Loser and someone else in front of him, I reckon that would work. But again, I am no manager. I think you're on mute, Jakey boy.
There we go. Loser's one of those players that's got that star quality, I think. And if you play him, I think the further forward we Loser, the better. But he's the one player that we've got who can dictate it from deep as well. He's almost a victim of his own success in that way. If I just go through that lineup again before we touch on the rest of the second half, just on Selvik, I thought that was a really composed debut from him. He was a calming presence, I thought. And Troy mentioned it a couple of times on the analysis afterwards about his shanking of clearances. But if I'm honest, I felt there was only one time he actually did that, and that was on his weaker foot because the ball was a bit of a hostile pass back to his right foot. And yeah, he shanked it, but it was on his weaker foot. But bar that, I thought his left foot looked decent and was composed when he had the ball at his feet. I mean, look, the 2 saves at the end are ultimately what he's judged on, and that's kept us a point there, really. And
got a man of the match as well.
Weirdly, though, I don't think they were like outstanding saves. Like, to be honest, I'd expect him to save both of the efforts that were at him. But still, he had to make them, and I thought he was a calming presence. And I think maybe what I underestimated is the fact that this guy is 27 and he's played for Norway. Like, this isn't a guy who's just rocking up playing his first game of like professional football. Like, this guy's been about, and he ultimately saved us 2 points twice. We mentioned loser Sissoko, coincidentally Charlie Zazzera came off, and it changed a little bit. Is that to do with Musa himself, or is that to do with the substitution? I know I mentioned at the top of the show, but again, they mentioned it on the analysis about how Sissoko, there's no one else organises like Sissoko. And I'm not necessarily sure if I agree with that, because I think Pollock's the best at it. But yeah, is there anything in that with him coming off?
I don't know. If you scroll down, I don't know exactly who he came on for, but it was obviously, I think we spoke about it just with the shape and maybe a bit of a mindset going a bit more defensive, Sierralta. So yeah, like Sissoko, it's actually I thought been a bit of a smart move from Tom, putting him out wide right. Kind of when Charlie was saying about, should Sissoko be doing that? He hasn't got the touch or the passing range to be able to take it and help with build up. We saw for months really him going missing in that centre midfield. So I think it's a decent kind of role for him on that right, bit of physicality. But I think he's been better than he has in previous weeks in that position. Am I right in saying that's where he played when he first came into the country for Newcastle? So look, I can't wait to see Quadro Bar come back, Rocco Vata come back. Once we get those boys back with Loser and Tom Delly, then we should have a bit more of an exciting outfit. But again, one thing that I don't know if we can jump towards Georgie now.
Yeah, go for it.
One thing that I was concerned in this shape, the kind of 2-3-1, is Georgie on the left. Is that his best position? Is he not going to get the ball enough? But I think he showed yesterday, like, he's a class act when he's on the ball. Give him the ball, he roams. Tom gives him that license. So my concerns are kind of dampened really with having him on the left. I think he's that much of a good player. If we can just get him the ball, and like I showed you that screen grab of building up, he's not hugging the touchline. He's quite central, and I think if you probably click on his heat map, I don't know if you can do it on Sofa Score there. I'm guessing he picked it up kind of bottom left. Oh, it's on top left. He's quite advanced there. So yeah, fair play. But yeah, that's exactly where you want it really. That's in his wheelhouse, isn't it? On the left, kind of coming in. You hope that him and Laroussi's partnerships should be better really, because it feels like those two are always combining him on the left. But yeah, I thought Georgie was outstanding yesterday, as did everyone on Twitter, including all the Sunderland fans and all the other fan bases. So he's getting some flowers, the boy.
He's one of those, Charlie Bush, where similar to Pedro's end product was better. But I remember there was a bit of criticism towards the end with Pedro when he was at us. And people said he holds on the ball for too long. And I think there's a similarity there with Chatfordazzi, where he knows technically he's the best player in the team. Yeah. And there's certain players I've noticed that he gives the ball a bit quicker to than others, i.e. he gives the ball quicker to someone like Vata. He gives the ball quicker to someone like Loser or Deli Bashiru. But then there's other players that he might not give it to as quickly. But just to bring it round, is there a conversation to be had about our expectations with Georgie, because we see it week in, week out, and then opposition fans seeing him and being like, wow, this guy's so good. But actually, we almost now expect that level from him. So we now criticize his products, for example, which is poor for how good he is.
It is tricky with Georgie. It's funny that you compare him to Pedro. I got absolutely slated on Twitter for comparing him to João Pedro, as in quality-wise. But I feel like, again, he would be... I don't think he's at the level of João Pedro. I retract my tweet. But I feel, if he adds that end product, like you said, whether it's the players he's got in front of him, whether it's his actual decision-making, I'm not sure what the actual factor is about it. But there's a couple of times where he'll wait for that run over Larouche, whether it'll be a worthwhile pass or not, whether what Larouche does with it. But sometimes it'll be too late, sometimes it'll be too wide, sometimes it'll be too close to the defender. Sometimes he should have just cut inside and shot himself. But it's that bit beforehand which he's so good at, and that's the bit that everyone comments on. I think I've retweeted as Sunderland fans saying, "Oh, that Georgian one, number 8." We always see it. I genuinely think we haven't gone 2 weeks this season without seeing at least one. And whether it's a mentality thing, he knows that he's the technically best player in the team. And Klez said it himself. If he sorts that end product out, whether it's his decision making or whether it's his, I don't know, his indecisiveness in the final third, who knows? But yeah, final product gets sorted out, and we've got a serious player on our hands.
Jacob, has he been the player of the season so far?
I'm just seeing Matty.
Yeah, I would say I would go chat for that. See,
Would you?
Yeah, I would, because I think Matty Pollock's the most improved and has become a really important player for us. That might be Matty who's calling me now on this on the podcast, but I think I've gone with George. Superb, right? Matty's been absolutely brilliant. The 3 key players for Watford are Pollock, Chatford-Datsey and Loser, right? They're the 3 most important players for
Pedro
Watford.
Barr, Stephen.
But I think you can get around Bar a little bit more, and Vata as well. Maybe they're the 5 players, right? But I think when you look at the spine, Loser is now fundamental to the way we play, and Pollock are probably the 2 most important. Chatford actually just gives you a bit of the X factor, and yeah, granted his numbers probably don't reflect his influence on games, but I think in terms of individual quality, he's been brilliant this season. Honestly, I think Pollock for most improved, along with Bar probably. But I think Chatford in terms of quality has been fantastic.
Yeah. For me, I'd give it to Matty Pollock because I just think he's been more consistent. I can literally think of one game where he's been poor, and that was QPR away when he was playing on the left of a back 3. But even yesterday, and I think what's so underrated about Matty is like how good he is with the ball at his feet. He's plucking balls out of the air now. He's doing little turns, getaways, punching the ball into midfielders. I know he's most improved, but I just think he's been best and most consistent. So
I'll tell you what it is about Matty. I think at the start of the season, when he was playing either in the 3-back or he was playing on the right-hand side of the defence, everyone was going crazy. Like, Matty, this is like a 5-year contract. This is the new best thing for Watford. Now he's been, I'd say, forced onto the left side playing on his left foot. People have seen him playing balls out, and they're forgetting that is his weaker foot. Like, I can even do those sorts of passes with my strong foot, let alone my weak foot. And he's sort of, the way that he's just so comfortable, even if he does give the ball away, he gets it back straight away. And I think when we have that, I say Ogban, I can't start every week. When we have that left-sided centre-half, whether a Banquo goes to right back, and Matty plays in his most natural, comfortable, on his stronger foot, we'll see prime Matty back again. But yeah, I think consistency-wise, he's always at least an 8 out of 10, apart from QPR. For sure. We've touched on Chatford-Datsey. We've touched on sort of when Watford took the lead. If you're still with us, we'll bring it back round to Watford. To Watford taking the lead. It's 2-1 at this point. The subs happened. Watford looked a little bit leggy. Lack of options off the bench as well. I wouldn't have tweaked to a back 5, but that's just me. I would, and again, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But I think it was a brilliant comment from Dino, if I get it up here. Really interesting comment. It was noticeable how progressive we were looking with our passing from the back with the 4 compared to how we were just passing among the back 5 when we play with 3 centre backs. It's a really, really good comment. Definitely a noticeable difference. And then the equaliser, Charlie Zazzera. Again, just a frustrating one. 2 set pieces, switching off. If I cast my mind back to it, Deli Bashiru doesn't check his man once. Sierralta is not with his man. I'm looking at the body language of Ince. He's flat-footed. Kiembe's not looking at the ball. and Ngaka's not looking at the ball. It was just a really soft goal to concede, like the first one, and it's frustrating because it's 2 lapses of concentration, which have cost us all 3 points. I mean, you could say that with the 2 saves, but did it take a deflection? I haven't even seen the highlights. Didn't.
No, it's just a really easy chance in the middle. And like I said, I think it was Tom Deli's man, and he switches off. Kind of Sierralta goes in with a player who should be Ryan Andrews' man. So maybe if Sierralta doesn't go in, he'd just be able to clear it away. Really, really soft goal. Frustrating. And then, I'll just quickly get this up. Oh, look at my new background. Bit of shrubbery. But this is how many teams in the league shot creating actions from set pieces, dead passes is what they call it on FBref. Watford have conceded the second most in the whole league, only behind Plymouth Argyle. So someone asked me yesterday, have Watford been bad at set pieces? And I didn't think we were that bad, but when you look into the numbers, we're conceding loads of chances from the dead ball situations. I still think we give away so many cheap fouls. I think that got picked up on commentary, but I don't know. Maybe we need a bit of a reshuffle in the coaching staff and get a set piece coaching.
One of the things in the running order, Charlie Zazzera, you put Jacob's hot take.
Oh yeah.
What was the hot take? I don't remember.
I saw a tweet coming up. Let me see if I can get it up.
You're thinking, what have I said? What have I said?
I think this is going to come back to bite me. I just saw in the running order it said hot take.
This will cause carnage.
It's out to get you. Here we go. I'm intrigued. Oh, I didn't see this.
If the people who can't see, I tweeted at the start of the game yesterday that this kit, the home kit, looks better with black shorts. Charlie Bush, am I right? Am I wrong?
Jacob, there's not many times I disagree with you, my friend. The red.
Oh, no!
The red is beautiful. I'm not sure whether it's the runner form we had in the red shorts that's just taken over me. I don't know. I just feel like, how many seasons ago was it we had that? Our home kit was very black, wasn't it? Was that last season?
Well, I don't know. The thing is, I'm a red shorts man, to be honest. I think of like the best Watford teams. I'm a red shorts man. But if you're talking on the aesthetic of this home kit, the black shorts looked sensational.
Are the stripe, like the faint stripes, are they black or red? The ones that like sort of go down?
I think they're black.
They're black. Maybe that's why then.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's something in it. The psychology. Correct me if I'm wrong, and someone can let me know in the comments. But I think Graham Taylor brought red shorts in because of the sports psychology around the colour red.
Oh, is that why I put a tweet out? It was Graham Taylor. They had a Graham Taylor quote on the Sunderland away end because all the floor was red. And they said, the quote said, "Do you think Graham Taylor would like this?" And I thought, when I was going up the stairs, I thought, Sunderland have got Graham Taylor written on the. Surely they haven't done this just for us. I fixed it, and someone said maybe it was so it doesn't get graffiti, but it was all in the same text as the one above it. It was like when you got to the top, it was this is the height of Chris Waddle's penalty in 19 something. It was really quite good. And then I saw Graham Taylor, and I thought that can't be just for us. But the floor was all red. Maybe that's what they were talking about.
I think that is the one. Someone
like would Graham Taylor like all the red stuff? I'm sure that's what it says.
Yeah, I think so.
Someone said, I remember I was showing someone, they said it's quite ironic that I think Graham Taylor would like the state of the club, but it's definitely not that.
Oh, okay. So just this sort of bit of this is like the Watford history section. Shout out to the Watford Treasury who said, "I hadn't quite realised how closely red shorts were associated with the Taylor era. Unheard of before him. After switching in 1979, we wore them for all of his 12 further seasons in charge, but only 5 others, 91, 93, 01, 02, 06, 07, 11, 12. So there you go.
Go on, Graham.
14, 15.
The great man. What a man. We were touch. Sorry, I've got that was a hot take that I just forgot to put out. Charlie, that goal. Sorry, just frustrating. Charlie Bush actually. Just a really soft.
Go on, sorry.
No, sorry. Yeah, just 2 really soft goals, and I think that's the frustrating thing because whilst we were hanging on at the end, we shouldn't have been hanging on, and that's why people are like, oh yeah, and that's why I said, oh, Selvik saved us a point. I saw a great tweet from Tom Bodell, which was "See it, say it, Selvik," which was just perfection. But just
you can tweet underneath it. See it, save it, Selvik.
Oh, while we're on Selvik, side note from the corner, sorry. The chant that we had going was in the middle of our goal, Eagle, right? Why? No. I'm not praising that. I'm not praising that. I'm not praising that. I'm saying, why have we not done in the middle of the stick, Selvik? Why have we gone for in the middle of the goal, Eagle? Because his name's not Eagle, it's Eagle. In the middle of the stick, Selvik.
In the middle of the stick, Selvik. That one.
Yeah.
That's not bad. I had one the other day that was going on about, which was like, You know, follow that one.
Yeah.
It was like follow the boys in yellow. We've got Simpson, Beverly, Matty Pollock, Kayembe on the wing. We've got Rocco.
Oh, I don't mind it.
Why
It's
is
giving me flashbacks of.
What's
that going to do a selfie?
No, I just wanted to sing that at some point today. And that goal really soft. Anything else we wanted to mention about that goal, lads? Who was at fault? Who's to blame?
I was not really focused.
We move. The halfway line shot from loser, Charlie.
Woo! Did you see this in the broadcast?
No. It just panned to Patterson tipping the ball over. I was like, how? You know what? That's what I really get annoyed when I'm watching TV sometimes. Like, oh my God, go away!
Matty Pollock again.
Yeah, Matty's saying, please, pick me as player of the season. No, it was one of those with loser where the ball was just being tipped over by Patterson, but they didn't show who did it.
It's funny you say that because that's all I saw as well. I was not. I'd just seen us concede. My head was down. I looked up and the ball's just floating, and I'm like, I thought it was Kayembe because I thought that loser had passed it to Kayembe. Are you allowed to do that? You are allowed to do that, aren't you?
Did he touch it?
No, I don't think he did. I think he literally just had a shot.
This would have been one of the greatest moments in Championship history.
I genuinely don't think he even passed it.
After them going 2-2, for loser to just have a pot shot.
After the goal he scored as well.
To make this 3-2, it would have been one of the best moments in Championship history. And it was do you know what I mean? An inch or two higher, that's in. Such a great effort. He tipped it round. His keeper's there to make a decent save. That would have been proper limbs in the away end, an iconic moment. And it just sums up loser's performance and the confidence he played with. So, imagine if that went in, that'd have been class.
Imagine the limbs. And so Watford came away. We mentioned the 2 saves from Selvik. We came away with a point. Cleverly really mentioned actually how the last 2 he felt that the mentality of the squad's been superb. Even the loss against Norwich, but the draw at Sunderland. Look, before that game, we had 1 win in our last 10, if I'm not mistaken. So Charlie Bush, just to stop that run, and we look at sort of the games coming up now and looking ahead to Leeds on Tuesday night. What was your sort of main takeaway from that performance coming out the ground on Saturday, which feels like a while ago actually, like 12:30 kickoff? But what was sort of your main takeaway coming out the ground? How did you feel about this Watford team?
If I'd say the first 5 minutes after the full-time whistle went, my one word would be deflated. But then it took me about, after I had my little away day sleep on the coach, I woke up and my word was surprised, like pleasantly surprised, because I'd say we're not in a relegation scrap at the minute, but we were in relegation form. What is it? 1 win in 10. That is relegation form, really, if you look at it. And to be able to break that run of form away from home when we're not good in the slightest away from home historically, and being able to break a bad run of form over that long amount of time. What was the date and what was the game that we last won? Was it in January?
Derby
away was our last win.
Was that last year as well?
No, it was 18th of Jan. So if you look at our run, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So it's 1 win our last 9. And then it's 2 draws and 6 defeats. So
I mean, pleasantly surprised, I'd say, because it wasn't like there's been plenty of trips. As you know, I've done every game this season. There's been plenty of trips that I've come back thinking, why have I just done that trip? For example, I can think of Swansea. It was poor. It was away from home, which is what you'd usually expect. It was it 1-0 Swansea? Was it 2-0?
It was.
It was 1-0. We didn't score.
Yeah, 1-0 Swansea.
1-0. I looked to Swansea away. I looked to, was it Cardiff away as well? Or did we beat Cardiff away? No, it was Cardiff. We lost Cardiff away. There's been a couple of games where I've travelled quite far and I've thought, it's away from home. If it wasn't for the fact of me getting a new stadium here, I'd be quite frustrated. But as you say, I was pleasantly surprised, and I was happy on the journey back, even though I felt like we could also be frustrated not getting all 3. But it's one of them ones where, you know, the sort of games where you go ahead and then you draw. Like normally you're quite deflated by that, but I feel like I would have taken a draw before the game. So it's a tricky one, but I'm pleasantly surprised.
No, I agree. I absolutely would have bit your hand off for a point beforehand, especially with their record. But going into Leeds on Tuesday night, Charlie Zazzera, you look at some of the comments here. Ben says exactly, Charlie, this could have been a huge win to break this dismal run and we shot ourselves in the foot at the end. Ian's a bit worried because Tuesday night is a worry, as we don't usually put two decent performances together back to back.
Also, Leeds have just come off a Millwall loss, so they'll have probably got I wouldn't say battering because it's in the FA Cup, but they would have had something in the dressing room that will kick us into Tuesday.
And then, so CZ, how are we feeling for Tuesday? I think we'll do the Scott Duxbury comments maybe in another video, just because I think we'll be here all night. But we'll do another video on that maybe separately, because I think it deserves the time to break it down. But just on Tuesday night, how are we looking going into that one?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like we're always better against the better teams. So like I'm more nervous than when we're playing Preston at home, when we got Leeds at home, and that's probably because expectations change. But I reckon if you looked at a table, us versus top 6 versus bottom 6, we'd have got more results against the better teams. Sunderland again getting a good point away from home. Look, they are the best team in the league by far. They've been on fire before. I know they rested players for last game, but before that, I think they won 7-0 against Cardiff, who we couldn't beat. So it's going to be a really tough game, but I'm hoping, and I know it's difficult, I'm not going to be there. And like on a Tuesday night, it's probably going to be on TV, but I'm hoping for one of those games under the lights at the Vic, where the players can give us a bit of something to celebrate, something for us to get behind, and the atmosphere lifts and we get a good performance. Just like similar to, I think, Clevs' first home game last season against Leeds. We saw a really, really good performance. Maybe we should have won.
I don't know what's happened there. I think Charlie Bush's mic's gone mental. Only because. No, turn it off. You know what, Charlie Bush, keep your mic off. Only because you've had some great takes today, but I think it's going to blow our ears off if we turn it back on. But I think that's where we're going to leave it. Some of the comments rolling in has just been going off. Honestly, I don't know where that's come from.
Charlie, give us your prediction for Tuesday with your hands. With your hands.
Yeah, so what is it? 1-1, 2-1? What's the score going to be?
3. 3-0 Watford win, like it. Nice.
To Watford. Love it. Same starting 11 Tuesday night, Zazzera?
I think so, and then Rockavata's back, but yeah, I'm not too sure about that. I think it is going to be the same starting lineup. Can you think of anyone else who would come in? I think the performance warranted.
I like the 4 at the back. I think the 4-2-3 one's the way to go, to be fair. So we'll see come Tuesday night. Predictions, Charlie? Just to wrap up, Charlie Bush has gone 3-0 Leeds. They rested 10 players against Millwall. Charlie Zazzera has gone with... I'm going
3-3.
Charlie, in the comment section, 3-3. We're going to leave it there. Thanks so much to Charlie Bush. I know he can't say anything because basically his line's gone mental. I'll just double check with it now. Oh, it's back now. It's back now. I know I can't hear you. But Charlie Bush, what a pleasure. Thank you so much, mate. Charlie Zazzera, and thanks so much to everybody watching live today. Really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, drop us a like. Goes a long way. Drop us a review on audio, even though we blew your ears off about 5 minutes before the end. Subscribe to WD18. Comment down below your thoughts. And we will see you in the week to review Leeds and touch a little bit on that pod from Do Not Scratch Your Eyes. Thanks so much, guys. Take care of yourselves. Have a great week. And up the Hornets. You want.